welcome back for another episode of the Babe That's Bonkers podcast. I'm your host, Kaylee. So happy to be here. So happy to have you here. It is another wonderful, beautiful day to be alive. We are lucky we get to do whatever the fuck we want today. At least that's how I think life should be lived, is we should wake up and just do whatever feels right. And today's episode is going to be a chatty one. We're just going to flow through some stories relating to like the butterfly effect or just everything happening for a reason kind of mindset. I am trying to get back into like having more faith in the universe, which we'll get into later, but that's kind of where this is stemming from. I started pondering about this a few episodes ago, if you do remember. If not, take a gander, listen back. We've had some fun chats, and frankly, you've been missing out. So, uh, just kidding. Jokes here. Thank you so much for being here, and I'm excited that you've decided to join the party. So, to just get right into things, I have been thinking a lot about how hindsight is 2020, and where this kind of stemmed from is I was Snapchatting with a friend a few days ago, doing a very long Snapchat video session. Sometimes the specific friend and I will send hours worth of Snapchat videos together, and it's so funny, but the worst whenever we're like sending and listening to them at the same time, because we both kind of realize like, oh, we're both free, we should just call and FaceTime each other, but we're so caught up in like listening to what the other person's already told us and then like responding, of course, that we just get stuck in the loop. But when we're not free at the same time, it has definitely been a lot of fun doing that. I miss this friend very dearly. We used to go on a lot of different casual adventures. I feel like you just have different types of friends that fill you up in different types of ways, and that's why it's important to have, more than one person to like lean on in life and interact with on a regular basis, perhaps. And she's just my friend who I can just like do laundry with, run errands with, just chat with for hours while doing the most boring human mundane things because they just simply need to be done. And we're fantastic multitaskers like that. So yeah, definitely miss her energy. So thankful that, we do have social media and all that in order to stay connected to one another. But in the midst of sending her this Snapchat video, I kind of had this revelation, as one does whenever they're chit-chatting and rambling for an extended period of time. And it kind of dawned on me like, wow, I've had all these weird things happen in my journey, like specifically centered around like my sorority and college, and those experiences is what I was thinking of. And it's kind of crazy how they've led me to the point where I am now in a way that I just never expected, and it was really cool to make that connection. So I'm just gonna like share that little thought flow with you, so you know what I mean when I say like, in hindsight, I can totally see how everything happens. Bless you, Onyx. In hindsight, you can totally see how everything happens for a reason, or has simply just like led you to the point where you're at in this life. But before I get into it, just a little cheers. I do not have a can or an interesting drink to open today. I just have my little pre-workout in here giving me a little caffeine boost because I actually had a protein smoothie for my first beverage this morning, and then I got a little bit of a headache, so now I am fixing that, and it's also going to give me a great boost for my shift at work later today. So where the story begins is me ranting to my friends about like my sorority pin. I joined a sorority and COVID happened, and that kind of changed the dynamic a lot. An in-person sorority while living on campus is a very different vibe than an online sorority living at home, or a hybrid sorority while living off campus. A big part of it for me was like food, eating meals together, and all that kinds of things. And so when I had my own real kitchen to use, I personally love to cook, and I just chose that over eating at the sorority, and that's like a lot of what you pay for, and you can't really pick and choose how much the dues are and all that. So long story short, I ended up dropping out for financial purposes. And honestly, like, I did meet a bunch of really amazing people, but in a sorority of 400 people, I only have one really close friend at this point, and that's okay. I'm definitely a dollar over dimes kind of gal, and she's just an amazing person to have in my corner. But all to say is that it wasn't quite the experience that I kind of intended, hoped for it to be, getting into things. You think the sorority is going to be just, I don't know. It was like a fun party time, whatever, my freshman year, but I feel like that's all I really got as far as like a normal college experience. So it is what it is. But something I did while I was in my sorority was I did take on a little. So whenever you do that, there's like this big old like celebration and whatever, and you give them like a few different gifts and stuff. And so one of the things we did is we like painted canvases and stuff like that, lots of arts and crafts going on. So I ended up painting some canvases for my little, and they turned out pretty well. And my roommate actually had me paint some for her. She was in a different sorority, but kind of same vibe with like the gifts at the little ceremonies and stuff. And I didn't really think of it at the time, but that was actually really cool to have someone recognize my art as in like, that's cool. I would like you to do that for me. And I kind of thought it was silly whenever she said like, oh, I'm not going to be able to make it as good as you and whatever. And because I just didn't feel like I was like that amazing. I was just like copying some things off of Pinterest. And I still am a firm believer that you just need to believe in yourself and give it a go, and it'll become something special regardless of if it's what you intended it to be or not. But that whole experience in general just caused me to acquire a bunch of different art supplies. And I still have the box of paints. It's still what I'm painting with, a lot of them, because it was like 48 different colors of just those like 2-3 ounce paint tube things, and a bunch of different paint brushes. Canvases are like more one-off type things, but also easier to come by. There's a lot of different ones at the dollar store these days that I definitely pick up now and again. But just with all of these supplies in my home, I found myself leaning towards painting and having some fun, crafty, creative days, just trying to like find hobbies. I was pretty depressed at a certain point in college, and then I started, working out, and I was in this like era of finding myself, or just like getting myself back on my own 2 feet, mentally, emotionally, physically. And I just remember there were like a few days where I just like really got into painting, and I was just kind of like finding a style. It's when I first started messing with all my different like abstract swirls. I like did this little tissue box, which I still have somewhere. Maybe I'll give a tour someday of my little silly crafty creations. But I just thought it was so cool. I was like, I want to paint everything. And I painted something else in the house, and it actually turned out not so great. So I think I ended up throwing it away or something. Who knows? But shortly after that, I ended up painting a canvas that was kind of color blocked. It very much reminded me of home, but I really wanted it to be all about texture. And those are like the two directions that I've still stuck with in my painting, is like abstract swirls, one of a kind, snowflake type paintings. I've been adding a lot of words to those things because I feel like words play a big role in art, and I just really love combining those things. I feel like the swirls create, a really great background, and it can be really mesmerizing, and you can always see something new whenever you take deeper looks, but the words over top of them can be really, really powerful and meaningful. And I've just been having a lot of fun working on those types of projects, in addition to like texture, like especially playing with modeling paste and impasto gels and stuff like that. It has just been an absolute hoot, kind of like finding my style, and I feel like I am good at those things. Recently I've been trying other things, a little bit more realism, which has never been my jazz, like my vibe at all. It's kind of why I didn't believe I could ever be an artist, because I could never just draw someone picture perfectly, realistically. And the other day I was actually scrolling through Pinterest, and I came across all these different like nose drawings. I look at a lot of different tutorials and advice and just things for inspiration on Pinterest. I feel like it's the most wholesome, mentally healthy form of scrolling, if that's even a thing. And anywho, I saw all these different like nose drawings, and it made me realize, I've never really truly tried. I've never practiced. And that's the thing, is like so much of this is like skills that you have to build up through practice. They're just not innately within you, and I just need to lean into that more. And that's just been a really cool part of my present day life, which I will continue on later whenever I get to the life updates. I'm realizing that I am tangenting again in a different direction. So back to it, I discovered painting as a hobby. I got into the textures. It's been really wonderful kind of like finding my style, and it's been really cool looking back, seeing that that's naturally what I gravitated towards actually, just from the get-go, and how much I have just kind of like ruminated on that and like developed those skills. That's actually really cool. But it really wasn't until I took a trip with my partner and we were painting together, and I kind of had this little epiphany that if I enjoy my art, if I enjoy creating it, if I enjoy putting it up on my walls because I enjoy looking at it, maybe there are other people on this planet that has billions of humans on it that might also enjoy my art enough to want to put it up on their walls. And ever since I kind of had that notion go off in my head, it happened as I was painting with my partner. And ever since that notion kind of like clicked in my head, I have been working really hard on taking on the identity of becoming an artist. And I feel a lot more confident in that now than I did a year ago, give or take. Whoever, just in the past version of me really struggled with that. It felt silly, it felt stupid, it felt fake, and like part of me still feels that way, absolutely, especially because I'm not an artist who makes a living off of selling art. I am an artist who is learning. I'm an artist who is building up a foundation of skills and is trying to set myself up for success in the future, and I'm just finding myself and my styles and all sorts of things. But it doesn't make me any less of an artist that I'm not further along in my journey yet. Like, I'm on the journey, I'm taking it seriously, and that makes me an artist. And that actually leads me into the next part of this little snowball effect of joining the sorority, painting for the sorority, painting as a hobby, recognizing myself as an artist. I discovered Amy McMee, who I've mentioned many, many times on the podcast at this point, unknowingly at first. The algorithm, the universe sent her signs to me because she says all sorts of things like, your art is valid. If you want to be an artist, you need to be fucking delusional. You need to believe in yourself. Your life is going to look different than so many other people, but every piece of the process, all the progress that you're making, like, it's so worthy, it's so valuable. And just all these different artist like affirmations, just things that creatives really need to like hear in order to believe in themselves. And I needed to hear them. They gave me the courage to be where I'm at right now and saying I am an artist. Oh my goodness, the room just got darker. I don't know if you could see that. I am trying something new in the lighting department. I have a different color light setting on, and I think it's helping because I'm wearing another white button up. This one's also from that thrift trip. Wow, this is like flip-flopped, but I love it because it has all these different embroidered little scenes on it, some mushrooms, little kayak, some nature adventure type things, and it's 100% cotton. It feels so cool, even though it is the middle of summer in Arizona. I'm super comfortable wearing it, and that's been really cool to know that I'm spending my money on things that are comfortable, enjoyable, and anywho, I am tangenting. Sorry, Amy, to distract from the immense role that you've played in my journey by tangenting on my recent thrift adventures, but it felt important, you know? But yeah, and of course, after unknowingly discovering her, the algorithm just kept sending her to me until I knew her well enough that I just became obsessed with her, listened to her podcast, and now I read her books, and I am just eternally grateful to have all of these beautiful mantras to hold on to and to have resources to continuously turn to in order to like provide myself support on my journey as a creative human on this earth and whatever. So yeah, now I am at the present where I am an artist like I was whenever I was a child. I shared about that a few episodes ago if you're interested in that little backstory, but it is different now because I choose it. I am choosing being an artist versus like whenever I was a kid, I was just naturally drawn to creativity. And now I'm an adult and I have the power to give this like purpose and direction in my life. And I am really, really excited about it at the end of the day. Especially like talking about it just gets me really excited because it reminds me like why I'm doing what I'm doing, and that's pretty fucking cool. Which goes back to, my belief on like what makes a cool person, like doing the things that you think are cool. So I'm glad I could live my truth a little bit, or just, make progress towards, embodying that in my life. It's what that quote I mentioned all the time: be as you wish to seem, fake it till you make it in your own way. I do feel like be as you wish to seem is better, because fake it till you make it can kind of have some downfalls to it. I don't know. I just feel like there are examples that could fit fake it till you make it that aren't great, that don't fit be as you wish to seem, but not vice versa. Kind of like rectangle is a square is a rectangle. Anywho, I'm going to stop with the very confusing jibber jabbering and move on to like, now what in my present day life? If I recognize like there has been this butterfly effect in my life where like one choice of mine snowballed into all these other choices, being able to happen, that's the parallel universe that I'm living in, or my universe in the multiverse that I'm existing in, my timeline. That's my timeline. That's the the hippie lingo. I don't know. More sci-fi than hippie, I think. But now that I recognize that, my actions have consequences, they are part of this butterfly effect. Hindsight is 2020, and everything does happen for a reason, because, I probably never would have wanted to become an artist if I would have, stayed in school and, gotten a job as a fucking lobbyist, which is exactly what I wanted to do. I'd be wearing suits every day. I'd be arguing with people every day about trying to, like, convince them to listen to the experts, listen to the farmers that need you before just, like, making laws that affect them immensely, and a whole bunch of mumbo jumbo. I am... Best of luck to the version of me living in that universe, because she's a lot less zen, perhaps. But now we're at this place in the present, and, I recognize that we cannot control what the future holds, but I do want to make good decisions that lead me to the life that I'm trying to build. Like, I want a life where I am healthy and capable of doing all the things that I want to do. I want to travel to new places. I want to have new experiences. I want to have the resources to travel to visit my loved ones whenever I'm, feeling homesick, or, I just want to connect with the people that I love. That's normal to want. And I want to be able to explore nature and just create all sorts of things, whether that be art or meals or memories, the whole shebang. Like, that's what I want my life to look like. So what choices can I make right now to get me there, to get close to it? I do not have answers. I only have questions. I hope you know that. We are figuring this out together, because guess what? You and I, we are both humans here on this planet doing this whole earthling thing for the first time. We're just figuring it out as we go along, and that is okay. It's terrifying, and it's beautiful, and it's reality, But especially where I'm at, like, specifically in my life, I have been job hunting, I've been interviewing, I've just been debating so much in my head, like, trying to figure out, like, what life choices, lifestyle is going to, like, lead me into the direction that I'm, like, trying to move into, like I literally just said. But I feel like specifically I'm just thinking of, like, in terms of occupation, careers, whatever, because I don't want to trap myself in the muggle world. I want to be an artist. I want to create things. I want to build a home and live a life that is exciting and beautiful. And I know a lot of other people want that too, but frankly, like, I just don't want to work. I don't want a job. If you have a problem with that, you can go read Amy's personal essay about not wanting to work. It is beautiful and so relatable. And nothing has ever made me feel more seen. Like, I just don't want a regular fucking job. I don't want to work for other people. Like, that sounds horrible. I want freedom over my time. I think that money is a stupid made-up concept, and I hate that it, like, runs our society. But I also accept that that is reality. So I'm trying to figure that out, and it's so hard to kind of differentiate what my intuition's telling me and following logic and what is a good decision. For example, my intuition's telling me that this job I've just been offered, I shouldn't take it, because already before I've signed the paperwork, like, there has been miscommunications, and it feels like a bunch of corporate bullshit, which I don't think is at all at fault of like the people that I'm working with. It's just the system, you know, and I feel like I'm allergic to bullshit. Like, I just don't want to deal with it. I feel like I deal with so much of it already in my other corporate-esque job, which, again, I don't think is really at fault to, like, most of the people that I work with, like, especially directly. But it is just super frustrating how the world works, and I am so fed up with it. But also, like, I need to make money to survive, especially to fund my journey as an artist, because art supplies are expensive, especially as I'm trying to, you know, get more serious about it. I want to have higher quality art supplies, so I can create higher quality art. You know, I do love the little oil pastels that I picked up at Marshall's for $5. They have been really fun to just like fuck around with, but they aren't really creating masterpieces. You know, they do indeed remind me of children's crayons, and that's fun. It's its own style, but you're picking up what I'm putting down, that there's just, you know, an essence that quality brings to things that I enjoy and want to make a part of my life and my art journey and whatever. You get what I'm saying. You know, it's not, there's nothing wrong with me for wanting that. I need to remind myself of that. That's how I feel right now. I feel like I need to be like defensive over like wanting to spend more money on art supplies when I could just spend less money on art supplies. But that's besides the point. I just currently feel like I'm at that stage in life where I have decisions to make, and there are different paths in front of me, and frankly, I just don't know what is the best option, you know? And I don't think there is like a bad option, a wrong option. I just have different choices, you know? And that's the pickle with all of this. It's like hindsight is so necessary in order to recognize like, that's why that happened. And it makes the present and, you know, thinking about the future quite a bit more stressful, in my opinion, as I am a planner. But I think that's the universe just trying to teach me the lesson of like, you can't really plan most things. Like, things just happen organically because there are so many butterflies out there flapping their wings. There's so many people out there that are making choices and decisions and doing things that affect the flow of things. For example, like, I was really excited about this job that I may or may not be starting. I still haven't decided yet. It's literally things that I'm dealing with today. And it's just been super weird and like serendipitous, perhaps. I don't know. Kind of chaotic. I don't know how to describe today, but it's just been super back and forth. But like, if there wasn't a miscommunication in things, I would probably not feel so up in the air about things, and that might not affect like their future team kind of thing, but it is what happened. And now I've discovered like other opportunities, but it's like, I don't know. There's just so much going on in the world. It's impossible to really truly see the future. And yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's not logic versus intuition. I think it's a matter of just like reflecting and acknowledging both of them, and at the end of the day, just deciding. Like, you just have to make the choice and you have to live with it. That's something that I read is like a really great trait about people that get tattoos, is like they learn how to make a decision and they learn how to live with it, because it is permanent. And that is something that a lot of people really struggle with, is like the permanency of things. So I just found that a little bit fascinating as well. A little sprinkle for you, a little nugget. But beyond trying to not let myself get trapped in the Muggle world by, you know, like, I just feel like there are certain jobs where you get stuck. Like right now, I feel like having like multiple part-time jobs allows me to be more flexible versus like one full-time job where I start like climbing a ladder and to like make more money, which takes on more responsibility, which ends up taking more of my time. Like, that's just not a path I really truly want to go down towards, because I really truly don't want to be working for other people at the end of the day. I've discovered that, learned that about myself. And, you know, I want to be really careful about not letting myself get trapped in those scenarios. I guess I can always quit and like leave or whatever, I guess. But I don't know. I am a great employee. I'm a people pleaser. I really thrive in those types of situations where there are hierarchies. You know, I entered a lot of different leadership positions in high school, so that's kind of like, and in college, I suppose. So that's kind of where I'm like basing that off of. But I do know I don't want to be stuck in the muggle world. I don't want to be twice the age that I am now, still feeling the way that I do. Like, I can't live the life of my dreams. I know that at the very least. So putting that energy into the universe that we can work something out. You know, I understand it doesn't have to be my plan, but can it be like a plan that's like kind of sort of ish similar to that? Pretty please. And like I was saying, beyond that, after my secondary rant, you know, I just have some other thoughts in relation to the topic. I have been trying to like reignite a sense of faith within myself, faith in the universe. For a while, I was reading a lot of Sadie Robertson books whenever I was in college. I was still more religious, and I felt like that had really grounded me. It's actually why my dog's name is Sadie, is because I was reading her books, and I felt like they had gifted me something that could like really ground me, in the sense of like teaching me that faith is the opposite of fear. That's why a lot of it is called like Fearless in her series and something like that. And I have so much fear over the unknown, so I'm trying to build up faith so I can hold on to that instead. And it's not easy, because part of me just like doesn't believe it. Like, I don't know how to like force myself to believe something. I kind of don't, you know, but I also understand that my thoughts hold power, and if I can like control my thoughts, they can lead me into a different, hopefully better direction than where I'm currently at, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's not much as far as like a segment goes, but I think, you know, it's big. You know, faith is faith over fear. It's like mind over matter in my head, faith over fear. And that's pretty much what I have as far as some like butterfly chit chatter, butterfly effect chit chatter goes. I feel like the effect part is very necessary to understand what that means. Otherwise, we're just chit chatting about butterflies. Like, I'm actually so down for that, but that's not actually what we did today. So, anywho, let me start over. That's all I've got for today's meat and potatoes. We are ready to roll into some astrology thoughts. We have recently entered Cancer season, and I did indeed feel a shift. I actually posted something on my story the other day where I was like, I'm just feeling like really drawn to water for some reason. Like, I just wish I were at the beach, so I just decided to wear a dress and pretend like I was at the beach. I didn't have the opportunity to go to water, but I did turn my hose on and do a little misty mist for my dog and I in the wind, and it felt amazing. And I then discovered that Cancer season is upon us, and Cancer is a water sign, so I found that fascinating, just absolutely riveting, you know? This is fascinating. Just checking in with the Cosmic Latte. She puts out the best guides. I'm going to let you go ahead and find the whole thing yourself if you want to look up like your own personal horoscope. I just realized the other day that these are for like your rising signs, and I've been reading them for sun signs. And yeah, I don't know. Personally, I do like to read for all three. So I have, you know, Aries for my sun sign, Pisces for my moon sign, and then Cancer for my rising sign. I also discovered that my partner also has a Pisces moon and a Cancer rising, Sagittarius sun. So fire sign up top there as well. That's so strange. And we are a few years apart. So it's like, what are the odds? You know, what does that say? But anywho, it has just gotten me all the more excited about Cancer season, and I did feel like whenever I read all three of the little blurbs, like when I put it together, it really fit with me and my soul. And then when I read my partner's, you know, just like the minute differences, I felt like it was also accurate, but also that just might be confirmation bias. And frankly, I don't care, because I think all of this stuff is delightfully interesting. And just to give a little tidbit about Cancer and the season. Cancer is a cardinal water sign. If you want to know all the details about what that means, you can check out the like Astrology 101 episodes that we've done, you know, just laying that foundation, vocab words and stuff. But it's ruled over by the moon, which makes sense, you know, the moon controlling the tides. overall symbolizing, you know, a connection to cycles, rhythms, the tides. A sign that just like experiences a lot of fluctuations, whether that's in like your mood or your emotional mental state or your desires. So I think it's really interesting that I feel like everything's so up in the air right now for me in my life. Please comment below if you also feel like things are really up in the air for you in your life, or maybe looking back at like when this episode came out were, if you're like listening to this in the future. Hello, future listeners. Love ya. But yeah, just really fascinating. Fascinating. Fluctuations and the mystical celestial energies. Don't mind Onyx back there getting comfy. He has a whole dog bed, but he like puts his body on it, but his head on the floor, and then he slowly scooches off of it. So right now he's half and half, but the booty's got the pillow. It's all propped up and comfy, how he likes it. Something else that the Cosmic Latte does is relates like the season, the post, or just certain things to different tarot cards. So this one's the Chariot. So apparently the Chariot card embodies the cardinal energy of initiation and momentum, driven by a deeper inner will and self-guided direction. So I guess that kind of answers my question about logic and intuition. Like, your intuition's there for a reason. I do feel like I'm very connected to mine. I feel like my mind tries to play tricks on me, but like my true gut feelings are usually correct, especially when I'm like having conversations with people and reading them. I think I have improved that a lot over time, and I don't know, I'm proud of it. I feel like I can just like identify how I feel. I just know what I truly think, but I do have to decide if I'm gonna choose to follow that or choose to follow a different decision, because sometimes things will still be okay if I don't follow my intuition, you know. It just is going to be different. So that does make me want to do a tarot reading before we dive into like the rest of the life updates. I had a really great one earlier. I have not been on the grind, but like I've said, the podcast has been keeping me to like at least one a week-ish. But I did one just for myself earlier, and I got the Devil reversed, and it was just so relevant again to all this like decision-making talk. But I feel like doing a little 3 spread, so you can decide right now in your soul as the receiver for this reading whether this is a mind, body, soul reading or a past, present, future. I'm not going to share mine because I don't want to taint your experience, but for the first card we have the 10 of Swords upright. The 10 of Swords. The 10 of Swords represents endings. Keywords include ending, betrayal, pain, strength, resilience, hope. The 10 of Swords upright represents an ending, but not just any ending. This is an ending that is painful and full of betrayal. However, the man in the card is not showing despair. He's showing strength and resilience. He is still standing, even though he has been stabbed in the back. This is a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope. Love meaning, perhaps a breakup, separation, sadness, grief, pain, but also hope for a new beginning. Career meaning, loss of job, office politics, breakdown from stress, burnout, but also an opportunity to start anew. Finances meaning, financial loss, failed investment, but also the opportunity to learn from your mistakes and start over. The 10 of Swords upright is a difficult card, but it is not a hopeless card. It is a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope for a new beginning. Next up, we have the Knight of Wands. So I guess if you're just listening to this, the 10 of Swords has a man pictured, and there are 10 arrows actually pierced through him. And for our second card, the Knight of Wands, there's a man with his golden retriever dog. It very much reminds me of Lewis and Clark. This card always reminds me of adventure, but they're in a kayak canoe together, and the man is rowing. He's got an adventure hat, but they're on a lake or river with a bunch of pine trees behind them. The Knight of Wands represents speed and offer. Courageous, energetic, charming, hero, rebellious, hot-tempered, free spirit, The Knight of Wands represents adventure, pursuit, and passion. This card signifies the asker may be in a period where they are charging ahead with a creative project. Explore the horizons that exist outside of your comfort zone. Fearless, courageous lover. Oh, yeah, love meaning. Fearless, courageous lover, difficult to commit, rash, erratic relationship. Career meaning, passion and energy for work, brave decisions, new business favored. Finances meaning, sudden influx of money, using finances for travel, expanding horizons. The Knight of Wands can also indicate travel and the urge for adventure. It is time to embrace spontaneity and fearlessness. If travel is not possible, the asker is encouraged to try new activities and break free from their routine. But our third card for today is the Tower reversed. I do believe that we have gotten the Tower a few times now in our readings together, at least once before. It feels familiar. The Tower represents breakdown and illumination. For the reverse Tower, the keywords include averting disaster, delaying the inevitable, resisting change. When you get the Tower card reversed, you may feel that a crisis is looming on the horizon, and you struggle as much as you can to try to avoid its manifestation. Love meaning includes making adjustments in love, leaving a weak relationship. Career meaning includes surviving layoffs, avoiding taking risks in career. Finances meaning includes surviving financial disaster, repeating financial troubles. What you have relied on may no longer be there for you. However, do not view this as a drastic and depressing change. Instead, it's time for you to become more self-reliant. So, a very fascinating reading. I'm really happy that I did all three. They feel just right, if that makes sense. I hope it does. If not, just take what resonates with you, leave what doesn't. No stress, no sweat, nothing like that. I hope you don't mind that I switched that up mid-episode. It just felt right in the moment. We started talking about tarot, might as well do a little bit of tarot, you know what I'm saying? But another thing that has really interested me that the Cosmic Latte has been talking about is astrocartography and how your birth chart kind of relates to like what places on Earth you're drawn to. So that's something I've been looking up. I don't know very much about it. It is so much. It's honestly quite confusing, but just kind of looking at the different lines and looking up what the lines mean, like my Jupiter line or my MC line. See, I don't remember what MC stands for, but apparently those are great places, or places that like make you feel more at home and that you're drawn to, that kind of encourage growth and stuff like that. And for me, it was in Japan, and for my partner, it was in South Korea. So I'm just like, do we need to go to Asia for a little bit to grow? Because it's something that we've talked about. I personally have always really wanted to go to Thailand because I love elephants, and I would love to, go to I would just love to meet an elephant. That's just on my bucket list. I want to interact with them. I want to show them love and something like that. And my partner constantly talks about wanting to visit Japan just because we have a lot of hobbies like Pokemon or watching Naruto and stuff like that. A lot of interest, I guess you could say, that are, based or just like very popular in Japan. And so we think that would be a fun place to visit. But I'm like, should we spend more time there than just like visiting? Who knows? Like, I don't know. Personally, for me, I just don't feel very attached to living in America. I feel like my past soul was like a gypsy or something like that, because I just feel like I just want to go everywhere and be constantly moving. Like, I do feel a bit stir crazy, and that's kind of why I feel a little whatever about getting another job, is I feel like I'm just like committing to being here. Oh, 111 on the clock right now as I'm recording this. But yeah, I just feel like it's me committing to being here, and that's just like not really where I want to be. Like, if I could live in a van and be traveling the world making money through my art and content creation, like that would be the dream. But I also want a home base for my partner and my dog and, our family, our garden, and other hobbies to like be based in. And it's so hard when you want to have your cake and eat it too, and I can't decide which life is right for me at the moment. And I'm just gonna try to like do the best I can to just make each day, each moment count and move towards elements of those things, you know, travel, adventure, making memories, loving people, animals, the planet, nature, all that jazz. But yeah, I just wanted to say that astrocartography sounds really fascinating and it's something that I want to learn more about. Let me know if you know anything about astrocartography. It's a really fun word to say. It makes me feel really witchy and smart at the same time. But now we finally made it to the life updates, my favorite part. If you're here listening to this, you're a real one. I think last episode we talked about the summer solstice, and I feel like this was the first pagan holiday that no, actually, I feel like Halloween I did a really good job as well. Samhain. Please don't judge me for butchering the pronunciation of things that were decided years beyond the way that we speak now. Anywho, I feel like this just like last holiday, I really celebrated well, I should say, no need to compare it to other times, but I ended up doing a little hair wrap. It's something I just kind of like spontaneously felt like doing better than chopping my hair, which is what I usually do in the past, especially when my bangs are long like this. They are due for a trim. But yeah, I used to do these all the time with my water polo team whenever I was in high school. It was like a little team bonding thing, and I was kind of wrapping our lighters with hemp wick in the same way recently, just because that improves the flavor and experience of things, if you know, you know. But yeah, I just ended up tossing it in my hair. I kind of struggled a bit. My partner helped me out, which was so sweet. Makes me think that he'd be just a lovely girl dad someday, perhaps, if that's in the cards for the universe. Not recently, soon, or anything like that, but just like long time in the future, you know, universe, after we've experienced life and stuff like that. Actually gotten to travel, perhaps. Anywho, he helped me with that, so that was really special. I picked out the colors because I had 4 different yarns, but these ones were like orangey, reddy, just reminded me of the sun. And remember, we were just trying to honor that and fire as well. So I just thought the hair wrap was fitting. I put a little outfit on and we actually went mead tasting together. My partner knew of this like nerdy little spot in the mall where they have a lot of like game nights. Like a lot of people play Dungeons and Dragons or like Pokemon, like the actual, you know, trading card game and other stuff like that. They have a bunch of different games to buy or to choose from, but it seems like that's where the nerd herds all hang out in the most loving way. It was so fun. I really loved it. But they had mead there, and everything was like witchy, old-timey, like make-believe, imaginative themed, and I just thought it was an absolute hoot. The mead was delicious. I don't really drink alcohol because I don't like the way it tastes, but 3 out of 4 of those meads I really enjoyed. And even the 4th one, I like it more than I like my favorite wine. So there's that. It was a really great time. And it was really nice, you know, spend time with my partner, try something new, and celebrate a little holiday like this. I feel like it's a lot easier than like the regular commercial holidays. Like, we'll both be working. Like, a lot of the times we just work on those, like Thanksgiving, Christmas, Mother's Day, 4th of July, whatever the holiday is. Our jobs don't really work around those things. You know, it's not like we're a teacher or a government person where we just like naturally get those days off. Like, a lot of our work has to do with plants, and plants don't know what day it is. They just know that every day they need sunlight and water and all that jazz. So all to say is that these little pagan holidays, I feel like, really make up for working when everyone else kind of gets to celebrate, and I'm totally okay with it because our family's small. It's just us. The dogs don't mind, and it's all about just like making special core memories at the end of the day. It doesn't really matter what day it happens on. It's about the intention, and I think that's why it was so enjoyable, is we just did little things that were very intentional, and we had a lot of fun. Another little life update is that I have been dressing up a lot more in the summer. I've been wearing sundresses all the time in the house, mostly because our AC's gone out, and that's been miserable because this has been the hottest week of the entire summer, and that's been really cool. But I've been wearing a lot more sundresses and like combining them, like today with these little tops and just other things, just trying to really put like some fits together, wearing jewelry, actually doing my hair and all that jazz, just really embracing the look good, feel good concept. And I feel like it's sort of working. For the most part, most moments, I do feel good. I feel a bit more confident, and I do just feel like I'm having fun with it, which I think is the main purpose, and that I'm not like hoarding clothes that I don't wear. Like, I'm actually wearing the clothes that I love, and it just makes me want to put more fits together. Mostly I feel like I need more accessories, better jewelry. If only I had like a best friend who's a self-taught silversmith that's starting a jewelry business for herself. If only. I might just link something down below if you're picking up what I'm putting down. But the pickle with that is that my best friend's a silversmith and I love gold jewelry. But anywho, we don't have to be exclusive. I'm trying to embrace silver a bit more just because, especially with turquoise, which aligns with like my job a lot, silver does look better, and that's kind of why she got into it. And anywho, that's like a tangent for another time when I actually have my gal pal as a guest. But embracing the look good, feel good, making my best attempts, and just continuously coming back to these tools that I know are in my tool belt. Like, I know that putting effort into my appearance, like, it doesn't have to be a full face of makeup and like something extravagant. Like, I can still be lazy and comfortable for the most part, but just like taking care of myself in that way, and like doing something for myself does make me feel better. Doing tarot reading and journaling does make me feel better. Going outside and moving my body and watering the plants and petting my dogs does make me feel better. So, using the tools in the toolbox. I don't feel like any of them are actually solving my problems and how anxious I felt recently, but I guess they are preventing me from being worse, which is a win. I do want to be a bit more open about just like mental health on this podcast. Like, this is my memoir. This is how I'm realistically feeling. And frankly, these days, I've just been struggling a lot in the anxiety department, and it has not been the most fun time, but yeah, I agree, Onyx. What you gonna do? My last little life update, the most exciting one that really fits in with little artsy vibes I've got going on today, is that I made a painting of a cute little duck. It's actually based off of a photo that I took, not this last October, the one before, maybe it is, I don't know. One time when I went to this swamp, essentially, and took a lot of really cool wildlife photos. If you want to see some, they're definitely linked below on my Etsy shop. But this was like my first time trying to work from a reference photo, and I was using this like really tiny canvas, and I decided to like sketch things out on an index card first to just like practice, and then I sketched things out on the canvas a little bit more detailed, and I felt like the painting turned out pretty well for like how fast I did it. And I think my rocks are really great. I think I did some really great algae, but then once I got to the duck and like the ripples in the water, things felt kind of off, and it was sweet. My partner and I were painting together, and he said that just like watching me, he was really impressed, and that just, of course, made me feel really, really good to like have reassurance from my partner, from someone that like my art isn't garbage, to like have someone like watching me create something and just be like, oh wow, and like to have that person also be my person is just serendipitous. That's the word of the week. But I actually took this painting and posted it on Reddit to get some feedback from other artists. You know, I'm just teaching myself this. I would like to take classes and just like do more, but I'm really just trying to work with what I've got for now. You know, the future, who knows what it's gonna hold. But I did get some really great feedback from other people on just like what skills I should be working on drawing, for one. I think them not seeing like the sketch underneath the painting and only seeing like my like draft one loose sketch definitely didn't do me any favors, but they're also not wrong in that drawing's not my strong suit. It's like been the biggest hurdle for me believing that I could be an artist in general. So it's kind of what I was like talking about earlier in today's episode, just like me wanting to teach myself a lot more of the fundamentals and increase my like artistic foundational knowledge base, whatever you want to call it, skill set, and really build from there. And so it has been great getting some just like advice from peers and seeing like them talk about each other, because some people are like, you need to start with this because this is what they start with in art school, and like that's how you get better in other things. And other people are like, you don't need to do it the way that like art schools tell you to do it, like just have fun and keep practicing and you'll get better regardless. And I think I could take something positive away from everything everyone contributed to the little thread, and it was just nice to have a positive experience sharing my art with like public people on the internet, and didn't get like a ton of attention, which was ideal, honestly. Like a handful of people that had some really great things to say, and then kind of just got lost in the mix, or everyone just kind of realized like what was needed to be said was needed to be said. And I'm excited to come back to the painting to work on it a little bit. I'm excited to like practice that same drawing and then redo the painting and see how that turns out. I think that it'll just be a really fun learning experience altogether to like see how I'm able to improve my own skills. So that's been really, really fun and exciting. I wish I could spend more of my time doing that, but like I've mentioned before, I'm just stuck in society's cycle of needing to work to make money in order to create art, in order to build a small business, in order to make money. Like, it's a fun life that we're living. And honestly, I still wouldn't have it any other way. Like, I am so grateful to have the opportunity to chase this dream. At least that's how it feels right now, here in the moment. So yay, woohoo for practicing gratitude. That is pretty much all I've got for you folks today, especially since we've already done the little tarot pool. I don't think that leaves us with much else. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you learned something, resonated with something, I don't know, felt good, were entertained. Just thanks for being here. If you're still hanging out, go ahead, like, subscribe, comment, you know the shebang, how to show some love. Sorry my phone keeps dinging, but you won't have to deal with that very soon because the episode is over. I have no idea what we're going to talk about next week. It'll be a surprise to us both, but I hope to see you there. And yeah, until next time, bye babes. Okay, I normally don't come back to record after I've done the whole episode, but I was just scrolling on Instagram, as one does, and the Cosmic Latte has been very active today. Like, please go check out their content. Like, I am obsessed. I really need to get this new job so I can subscribe to their moonscopes and really deep dive into all of the astrology mumbo jumbo. But they do some like little quizzes or like questions as people do on Instagram, just like how are you feeling. Options were like motivated, organized, disorganized, aimless, or uncertain. Most people, including myself, said aimless or uncertain. Like, that's obviously something I was talking about. I feel like I'm just in between things. Like, there are just so many decisions to be made. And she continued to say that today may feel a bit hazy or aimless. It makes sense if there's feelings of restlessness, impatience, without like a clear direction, and that's because the moon is void of course for the majority of the day. I guess normally that only ever happens for like an hour or so, so the fact that it's happening for a good chunk of the day is especially long for this kind of occurrence. So I just thought that was fascinating about this week's energy. Also chats about how we have a new moon coming up. It's a great time to rest, reflect, just like take a little pause for yourself, maybe think of what no longer serves you and, how that can make room for what will serve you in your life, what gets you a little bit closer to that dream life of yours. There's a little quote that says, let your mind wander. You never know what creative idea will land in the quiet. And see, this is just why I'm so obsessed with the Cosmic Lattes. Like, this is the kind of content, the kind of energy that I feel like improves my life and gives me hope. It might seem really silly to a lot of people. It might not make sense to a lot of people, but I feel really drawn to it and connected to it, and I don't think it's any more or less silly than people who have other religions. So, to each their own. So, yeah, this was just way too serendipitous to not include. So, yeah, a little bonus chunk. Alrighty, this is just a wild day. I decided to flip over the decks and do kind of like a second reading for myself, and it's actually creepy, weird, eerie how this reading turned out. Like, all I did was just, like, flip them over. At first, I took the top ones of each of the three, and now I just flipped them over to the bottom. So, first up, we have the Two of Pentacles, right? Two of Pentacles has a theme of decisions. Balancing resources, adaptation, resourcefulness, flexibility, stretching resources. The twos are all about relationships, balance, and harmony. The Two of Pentacles signifies that the asker is multitasking and attempting to balance many responsibilities. I feel like pentacles often relate to, like, money, material things as well. Upright love meaning, balancing love, work, family, adapting to changes in love. Career meaning, juggling work projects, being resourceful at work. Finances meaning, tight finances, prioritizing bills, unstable finances. This card can also indicate that the asker needs to implement more organization into their routine. They should determine which resources will help them feel less overwhelmed, whether it is hiring additional help or seeking advice. It's fascinating. Those are, like, the two things that I would like to do if I am going to be sacrificing more of my free time that, you know, I could be dedicating towards, like, honing in my craft. I would like to be able to use some of that money to pay for someone to clean my house, at least every once in a while. It doesn't have to be, like, regular, but, like, every other month or something. That would be helpful. Just, like, help me out with a deep clean. And therapy is, like, number one. Like, that's tippity top of the list. Like, someone to talk things out with that has helpful resources. You know, that would be cool. But I also got the Devil reversed again, which is what I pulled before I started. Again, sorry for listeners. The Two of Pentacles has a girl riding a bike at the beach, and she's got two sunflowers representing the pentacles. They have an infinity sign wrapped around each of them. Not balanced. One is above the other. There's also someone surfing in the background, which I feel like that also has to do with balance. There's two, like, lounge chairs with umbrellas on the beach. But yeah, just lots of juggling and balancing seems to be happening there. I feel like the bicycle is like, you can juggle your finances. You can juggle, you know, the activities that you're doing. You know, there's a girl and a guy because it's about juggling relationships and all that stuff. But the next card, the Devil, has a tree with two blindfolded people underneath it. It has them, like, tied up, and yeah, there is, like, a goat head horn that's, like, tethering them to the tree, keeping them tied up. But the Devil card represents restriction. The reverse meaning includes independence, freedom, revelation, release, reclaiming power, reclaiming control. The upside down Devil. The upside down meaning of the Devil card can be the moment when an individual becomes self-aware and breaks all the change that come with addiction and poor habits. Love meaning can include feeling more control in love life, ending codependency. Career meaning can include more accountability in career path, feeling empowered at your job. Or financial meaning, breaking bad financial habits and feeling independent financially. Be prepared to make the necessary changes that might initially seem painful to make the adjustments that will pay off in the end by being able to find your true self again. So interesting, so interesting. And this one really is just like the cherry on top. We have the Two of Swords. So again, there's someone who's blindfolded, which is fascinating. I feel like it's about not what you see, but about what you feel. But there's a woman who is shooting a bow and arrow. She has two arrows because they have arrows instead of swords in this deck. Again, it's by Y Spell, The Wild Reflections. I want to make sure I'm giving credit where credit's due, especially since I'm reading verbatim. But there is an arrow that she's about to shoot, and then one that's like in her, like, what, quill pack? I feel like there's a more technical term for it. But she has all this beautiful jewelry on. A lot of silver jewelry. I really need to get over myself. Have my pal make me an armband or something. Lots of body jewelry as well. I'm just getting inspired, honestly. But a blindfolded woman shooting one arrow in the queue. But the Two of Swords represents a stalemate. Keywords include difficult choices, stuck in the middle, denial, hidden information. The twos represent relationships, balance, and harmony. The Two of Swords indicate that the asker is in transition and feels that they are between two worlds, whether it be jobs, relationships, or in the middle of a move. Love meaning can include choosing between lovers, choosing between love, family, and work. Career meaning can include choosing between career paths, conflict at work, taking sides. Financial meaning can include avoiding financial decisions, unclear finances. This card reminds the asker to follow their intuition when making decisions and deal with conflicts directly through clear communication. It is also a signal to accept this period of uncertainty while keeping faith that a better future will emerge. I really freaking needed to hear that. I mean, it also makes me more confused. Like, whenever you're told to follow your intuition, it's like, well, you didn't give me an answer, but that's kind of the point, you know? So I just thought that it was just so eerie how relevant all of these cards were to, like, me, my day. I feel like what we were talking about today, like, I really am, like, in between jobs, and I have, like, a couple different options that have, like, presented themselves to me only today, which has made me, like, really startled and confused, but also excited, hopeful. It just makes me know that, like, whatever is meant to happen will happen. Like, I've got options, and that is a really great thing. So, yeah, what a crazy day. Wow. I've recorded 3 chunks for this episode. I've never done that before, but the universe just had something else in store for us, so that's been exciting. Okay, now that I've, like, added in all these other extra chunks, I do think we're finally able to wrap up. We're finally ready to wrap up today's episode, so thank you once again for being here. It has been a wonderful time. Please show some love if you're feeling it. Like, follow, comment, subscribe, whatever your heart may desire. It has been lovely. I hope to see you next week. No idea what we're talking about. A surprise to you and me both, but I feel like those are the fun ones. I rarely ever stick to it anyways. So yeah, we'll see when we get there. Hope to see you there, and until next time, bye babes.